morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Well, it's Friday and this Friday, let's just talk about the very dramatic story that broke yesterday when the police spokesman, Mba, actually let us know that police have arrested about 14 people in connection with the invasion of Supreme Court Judges Malachy Udili's home. Very, very interestingly, one of the suspects, a person called Mr. Lawrence Ajodo, and was confessing that he actually wasn't a chief superintendent of police, as he had led others to believe, but that he was a consultant to the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. Of course, the Minister of Justice, through his spokesman, Ugwummadu, has responded saying that it's the case of a drowning man scavenging for a dying partner. I mean, it doesn't get much more dramatic than that. Here's a very brief report, because it's a story you know well, but here's a brief report on it. We'll come back to studio, and I'll also take your calls on it.
A total of 14 suspects are here with us today. 7 are still at large, and detectives are working around the clock to round up the remaining suspects who are either directly or indirectly linked with this very serious offense. And the man who was acclaimed to be a chief superintendent of police, Lawrence Ajodo, is in fact not a police officer.
You can't make this stuff up. I mean, it was Frank Mba, and that's authentic. It doesn't get more authentic than that. When you want news about the police. So the police have distanced themselves from this gentleman, let us use the word, Lawrence Ajodo. He said, I'm not a chief superintendent of police. Okay, I lied in that case, but I'm a consultant to the Attorney General of the Federation, even though he didn't send me on that particular mention. And as I've noted earlier, the spokesman for the Attorney General, Ugwummadu, has said it's a case of a drowning man scavenging for a dying partner. Separately, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, the EFCC, the SSS, have all separately distanced themselves from the operatives and consequently the operation. So this is where we find ourselves. I mean, as I was saying, you can't make it up. It is what it is. You'll recall that the event that caused a lot of outrage, there was comment across the country. You didn't even need to be a lawyer to have commented that this was shocking. We're talking about a Supreme Court judge here. There are those who have noted that she is the second most senior judge on the bench in the Supreme Court. And if you've read the story, there are all sorts of bits and pieces you can attach to it. Apparently, all of this was that the instance of a whistleblower. The whistleblower had given information to the effect that there was a sizable quantity of foreign exchange in the Supreme Court judge's house. And by the way, the Supreme Court judge, I think everybody knows, is the wife of a former governor of Rivers State. So whatever, just threw that in. But now we're dealing with the police invading the house of a Supreme Court judge. Of course, she lives there with her husband. And EFCC, SSS, Inspector General of Police, Mr. Malame, all the concerned parties, if that is the way to express it, have distanced themselves from the operation. So it looks like Mr. Lawrence Ajodo is now on his own, and there are more questions than answers, because what happened could not possibly escape being reported. So what's going on? How could such an operation be undertaken? How could they go to a magistrate get a warrant for the said operation, even though the warrant was subsequently revoked by the magistrate because, it was obtained under, shall we say, false pretenses at the time. But we hadn't even heard at that stage of the story, you remember, we hadn't even heard that the leader is a fake policeman. He was to confess. And I don't understand the confession, quite frankly. I am a consultant, quoting Mr. Ajodo, paraphrasing Mr. Ajodo now, I am a consultant to the Attorney General of the Federation, but he didn't send us on that particular mission. So does anybody know what's going on? Maybe before we really get into it, what's your perspective, wherever you're listening to this from? Because it does look like a very dramatic story. The event would have been reported one way or the other. Do the police... Well, first of all, we've established that this wasn't the police from what Mr. Franklin Barr was saying. And as I said, when you want authentic information about the operations of the police, you ask Franklin Barr. He's the top guy. There are others, but he's the top guy. And so he was the person that was telling the world, not just Nigeria, the world this, that in Nigeria, we've managed to take, these kind of things to the extent that you saw, that you've heard about. You go to a Supreme Court judge's house, whatever it is you do when you invade, maybe you start banging on the door. In short, quite frankly, I'm lost for words. But maybe let's see what Reverend Dominic has to say. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Yori.
Yes. Do you understand it, Reverend?
Yeah, the network is not too good. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you. Carry on then.
Okay. Yori, this is giving us the picture of the psychology of our nation.
How do you mean?
There's some... can you hear me?
I can hear you, but how do you mean that this gives us a picture of the psychology of our nation? How do you mean?
Because if this nation punishes the offender very well and held a righteous man well, before somebody will take this kind of step, he will think twice. By the way, I'm not judging, but my pain again will be if we cannot come to the end of this matter. To know who this man, if you look at the young man called Ajejua, he's so bold. He said that they gave him 29 accounts to recover. Can we have an independent, investigator to get to the root of this man in particular, so we can solve one problem with this particular problem? If we get to the root of this man, the character, the accusation he made as a consultant, then we get the picture of the psychology of Nigeria well, whether it's positive or negative. This man must be investigated very well and know whether it is wrong or right. To claim to be a consultant to a minister of justice in Nigeria is not a mean thing you can say. I'm just saying that kind of boldness. All I'm trying to say is this: nobody is wrong here. Can we find independent investigator that will give us, the details of this investigation and raffle the mystery behind this man and his accusation? That's the psychology I'm trying to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. It seems to me that you also nonplussed, as a lot of people will be, because I imagine many are still trying to embrace the shock that a team purporting to be a joint team of assets recovery, for assets recovery coordinated by the Federal Ministry of Justice under the leadership of the said Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Information. By the way, I think it's been determined that there is no such team. So we still need to get to the bottom of how could this sort of a thing happen. As Reverend Dominic was saying, perhaps an independent investigation will be the only thing that will suffice. But if the police is, one can't use the expression throwing under the bus, because that would show that perhaps they were in cahoots and now things have gone bad. So no, it's not about the police throwing this guy under the bus. The guy says he's not in the Nigeria police force at all. But the surprising thing to everybody would be, so how did he manage to pull off the whole impression, if you like, the impression that he was genuine? I mean, and how were they organized? And when I say funded, I mean the uniforms, the vehicles, the whole, arms. I imagine people in those kind of task forces go around with arms when they're legitimate. So this guy copied everything to a T, and his people, and now he's saying that he's not a member of the Nigeria Police Force. Quite frankly, we have to wait and see what exactly will happen. As we often say in cases like this, and how do we ensure that a thing like this, never happens again? I guess we're going to get to that stage of the conversation. Michael in the UK, good morning. Good morning, Michael.
How are you today?
Michael in the UK, good morning.
Yeah, can you hear me very well? Is it clear?
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I can hear you. I just heard you. Go ahead, please, right. Michael.
Uncle Yori.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Uncle Yori. This is a Nigerian movie. This is movie. This is not real. I don't know if it's one particular person.
I don't know if it's you or if it's our guys in studio here. I need to hear you a bit better. You're very low. But carry on.
You getting me? Okay, good.
Yes.
This is movie. This is not real. Frank Mba, the people they are displaying, the people Frank Mba is displaying, this is all Nigeria movie. This is acting. They are not real. I know one particular person there. I know one particular person. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. You are saying this is not real. It's like, you say it's like a movie script.
Correct. It's not like it's really movie. I know one particular person there among these 14 is my very close friend. I don't want to mention them, but if you want me to mention them, I'll go ahead and mention them straight away to prove them wrong. This is not real. This is movie. They stage these people.
Well, what do you mean when you say you actually know one of the people paraded? I mean, you said he's very close to you.
Those people they parade.
Who is this person?
They said they have 14 people there.
Yes.
There's one particular person that this is all Nigerian movie, Uncle Yori.
Okay.
It's not real.
Okay.
I am telling you.
You don't want to mention the name of the person that you say you know. Okay. Okay. But thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling this in. You didn't want to mention what you know about the person, but you see, where I'm sitting here, we're just looking at what we have. Even if you say the whole thing looks like a bit of a crazy story, I'm just taking what we have. And the very fact that it is the police speaking, Frank Mba on behalf of Nigeria Police was speaking, that's why you got to take it with the weight it deserves. And people who work closely with the police, lawyers, of course, the Supreme Court judge herself is a lawyer, and of course she's now a Supreme Court judge. And the NBA, on account of that, was not impressed at all, and it raised all sorts of hell. But here we are. Let me ask another lawyer, a friend of the house that you also know very well, Malachy Ugwummadu, past president of the Committee for Defense of Human Rights and human rights lawyer. Thank you very much for coming on as always, Malachy. Good morning.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Can you make sense of this? Because somebody said it pretty well that it all seems like a movie script.
Making sense of this scenario is like rationalizing absurdity. So I will retreat from making sense and then speak to the dire nature that we find ourselves in trying to, situate these whole things.
I like what I just want to take what you just said. You said to go that way of trying to make sense of it would be to rationalize, what was your word?
Absurdity.
Did you see it as absurd then?
From beginning to end, and I hope it resolves itself just so that it ceases to be an absurdity. But for now, it is an absurdity, and it fits and feeds from the entire society that has become a theater of absurdity.
Okay.
Now, these are the issues. The first is that there were initial cases of denials, not just from the police, from the EFCC, from the Army, from the Office of the Attorney General, and so on.
The SSS, everybody?
I am going to be charitable to the Nigerian police for one reason. That is that, having denied that they were not involved, their responsibility was to go further and ascertain what has happened, considering that the facts available points in the direction of the commission of crimes and infraction of the law. To the extent that a few persons have been rounded off, to that extent, you could commend the police
and
to that extent.
And some are at large.
Very well. The reason why we must isolate them and say so is because it is not just the police that was fingered. The army was fingered, the EFCC was fingered,
SSS.
So, SSS, and so on and so forth. In the case of the Nigerian army, they say they are still looking for those who were involved. But these ones have at least got to the point where they said the apparent lead suspect is not a member of the Nigerian police force, and all of the revelations that have come with that. But please, you know, I have been very depressed since yesterday. The reason being that it is not just only the case of infractions of the law. It is not just about the circumvention of known procedures of operations, and even the procedure of dealing with simple common issues like search warrant, issuance of search warrant. It breaches the security of this country. That a gang, so to speak, drawn from all sectors of the Nigerian security across board, with the full complement of even members of the bar, my own profession, lawyers, at least they've not been pronounced fake, journalists, could find a forum where this idea could be conceived, nurtured, and delivered in perfidy. That, for me, speaks to the state of security in this country. And the fact that the plot was orchestrated in the second most senior justice of the Supreme Court, with all the potentials of success, it could have been the Chief Justice of Nigeria adopted. It could have been any person. And since we are talking about justices of the Supreme Court suffering this fate, you can only imagine what you and I, and what is happening on a daily basis, without any person to mobilize a governor, senior lawyers, security men to come to their aid. How many people can call a governor of a state to come to his or her aid in Nigeria?
I think
how many will have senior lawyers running from? Even that is also a security risk.
Before you came on, Reverend Dominic had called in, and he had said what has happened gives a psychological profile of our nation.
The very depressing one.
Yes, yes, yes. And complicating this whole thing further is that this imposter, this fake CSP, Lawrence Ajodo, Mr. Lawrence Ajodo, has said that, I'll give you as much. I am not a chief superintendent of police, but I am a consultant to the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice. But he never sent us on this mission, no. What do you make of that part of the story? So,
the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation is created by the Constitution. And I'm referencing section 150. The powers and functions are delineated under section 174, as well as other statutory bodies, legislations that we have. We like to know which aspects of these legal instruments vest in the Attorney General the power to engage consultants for the execution of any aspect of his responsibilities under the law. Assuming without considering that that is tenable, who have you recruited? What is the qualification of this man in relation to the office of the Attorney General, no less that special agency that they claim to have? So the issues are clear.
The Joint Team on Assets Recovery,
very well,
which has since been said to not even be in existence.
Well, in fairness to the office of the AGF, they have also said they don't know him. So what does that lead us to? It means that further investigations must occur in this matter. Who is telling us the truth?
Exactly.
Who is reserving some truth for future date? Who is telling us a blatant lie? We must know.
And
I was going to tell you, sir, that the issues that has arisen from all of these are very germane. Is there such an office in the office of, is there such an agency in the office of the Attorney General of the Federation? If there are, what is the inventory of personnel there? For how long have they been in existence? What is the record of this particular fake police officer who also wears the toga of a consultant? How long has it been? Has he executed any job in the past pursuant to his acclaimed responsibility as a consultant?
These are questions, the answers of which might come out
from investigation,
from an independent investigation.
You know, of course, that's the word. The truth is that the office of the Attorney General have been mentioned. It is immaterial that they have consistently denied their involvement. The office of the EFCC mentioned, DSS mentioned,
SSS
mentioned,
EFCC.
So the point is, the investigation that needs to take place here must, in your word, be independent investigation.
That's the only thing left.
That will be separated away from all of these institutions and organs of government that I have mentioned. Independent, objective, to be able to get to the root of what happened.
Indeed.
With a view to providing us an answer.
Because everybody needs to have an inkling into the root of what happened. Because we're talking here, I made the point that this event, this action, could not possibly escape being reported upon. You don't go and lay siege on a Supreme Court judge's house and expect that it won't be reported. So everybody was going to know, yet they still went ahead. So there must have been some kind of thinking in the gang that they were on a doable mission.
You know, Mr. Yori, the truth has always been established that a crime that defies resolution, a criminal action that is unable, that defies, solution, that is unable to be uncovered, is that one in which the government itself is involved.
Okay.
Once the government is not involved, you will. And it has started. At least to a very large extent, the police is in the process of exonerating themselves.
The police have initiated it. And as I said
now,
separately, EFCC, SSS,
correct.
Inspector General of Police, and all of these people have separately distanced themselves from the operation.
Correct.
But let me take Ola, who has called in from Ogba. Good morning, Ola.
Good morning, Mr. Yori. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. Good morning, sir. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. My contribution is, just a little thing. I have a feeling that you have had the last of this issue from the police or from government yesterday. They are not likely to hear anything again. Well, whatever the outcome of the investigation is, we all know Nigeria, the president in Nigeria. I'm not sure you can get anything out of it. Maybe we should just discuss it on television and leave everything in the hands of the Almighty God. Hopefully, by 2023, something better will come up in Nigeria.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for calling in. Now, Ola's contribution is also important because what he just put out there as his personal opinion, I dare say I know a lot of people that also have the opinion that this is just like a theater and nothing will happen. There will be there will be the usual impunity and then it will die down. One is hoping that this time they've gone too far. When you attack, let me use the word, I'm not using it in any professional, but when you attack a Supreme Court judge, and I don't know what else it is, when you go there with force and seek to do whatever it is, when you invade the Supreme Court, I would hope that the thing never spoil reach for it to be a non-event.
Well, I understand.
Let me include Ada in Jos so that you can comment on. Good morning, Ada.
Hello.
Good morning,
Good
madam.
morning, Mr. Yuri. Good morning, your guest,
Mr. Ugwummadu. Yeah.
Thank you, Ada.
Mr. Yuri, when I heard this story, I had goose pimples. I couldn't believe it. I thank God that this woman was not assassinated. You know that? This woman would have been assassinated, and they were telling us stories. We were not part of it. They were only denying it until God be blessed River State Governor and the people of Niger Delta, you know, the militants. That's why they went on this kangaroo, whatever they are saying. Everything they are saying there, it doesn't add up. I'm not blaming Frank Omba. Frank Omba is doing his job. That's what he's being paid for. You understand? I cannot add up. How did they, you have a lawyer there. Okay, now, when the fake policeman, they said, we have been hearing of fake now, in the election in Kogi, didn't we hear of fake policemen? The police even admitted that they were fake till today. They tell us where they came from. Now, that fake policeman they are talking about now, how come the lawyer is existing to tell us, please and please, I hope you don't mind, sir. Is there no procedure for getting that warrant? Because it wasn't a fake magistrate that gave him the warrant. You know, and the warrant is not fake too. I don't know. It's driving me crazy. I don't know what's happening. Anytime the election is coming closer, something funny will happen. Once the person that is the next in command, even if it's for one day, the person will be given that office. Once it's from the south, something must happen. Let me leave it as that. God will save us in this country. The River State government and those Niger Delta militants, let them not let this thing lie low. Let them make sure they get another independent to see into this case. That woman would have been assassinated.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for calling in, Ada. On the quick point on the whole matter of independent investigating team, it is only government that can allow that. The police or government is going to have to say they're setting up an independent team. It's
a matter of campaign. I mean, the government itself is indicted from all angles here. If executive bodies are implicated in an unholy operations, the government has a responsibility to rescue itself and clear itself of these suspicions.
Are they actually implicated or allegedly involved?
Well, to the extent that all the allegations have now circled around agencies of government. To that extent, you could say they're implicated. Whether that is true or not becomes another debate.
Okay,
but I would have loved to.
Let me come back from the break, and then you have a free, so without with
because
much less
somebody
disturbance.
talks about nothing will happen. I need to address that.
I'm going to, yes, we'll hit that as soon as we come back. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. And Mr. Momo from Maryland has stayed on the line all the while we were away. Good morning, Mr. Momo. Go ahead now, please.
Good morning, Uncle Yuri. How are you? And how is everything?
Good morning, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the program. Thank you for the program.
All right.
Yeah. Uncle Yuri, please. You see, most times we just see those things happening like a drama. Nigeria has become a theater, a room of theater, where anything we act, anything we feel like acting is a movie. So sometimes you look at those things, you just laugh over it, then we go to bed and sleep. Assuming that woman was assassinated, this is the way they would have gone round and round with stories again. They will look for one story, they will bring out people. We have ghost workers, now we have ghost police that will easily go to one's house, go for an arrest. If this thing has not happened to this woman, do you know how many people those people assassinate every day? Do you know how many people that have been arrested unknowingly? Their parents, their family cannot even locate their location. There was a story that happened in I think in Delta, where they said the commissioner of police or the IG of police then gave an order that man should be released. Up to this moment, that guy was assassinated. He was killed right inside his cell. Nobody talks about that man now. Now this one has happened. Those people that they arrested, those 14 men that they brought to us in the national TV that we are seeing, they are wearing face masks or nose masks or what we call it. They should obey them. Let them remove their masks. Let everybody see their faces. Not tomorrow you now go and bring another person. The case of girl Bola Ige, that is how they brought Frayo, Papa Frayo, or what they call him. Until today, nobody hears anything about that man's case. Okay. That was when one of my learned friend, my good friend, came up as a lawyer. Till now, that case is there. Now we have this one again. They will sweep it under the carpet or again. I thank the governor of Rivers State, Wike. He should hold on and he should hold these men accountable. This Malami politician is the one we hear his case in morning. He will come from every corner. No, Okuyori, you know one thing. You people should always let us talk. Because you people always say, no, don't talk. It's a national TV. Let's hit the nail now. We should hit the iron when it is hot. It's not when it's cold. We should go straight to that man. Is it Malami? Is it not Buhari that is the head of the state? He makes decision in his office. You work as people that he should go and intimidate a woman in his house.
I want you to talk, but you see, Malami, Minister of Justice Malami has denied anything to do with this. And that is through his spokesman. In fact, the words they used, quite, dramatic too, consigning Lawrence Ajodo to that of being a drowning man scavenging for a dying partner. So I understand you, and I didn't want to interrupt you. I wanted you to have your say, but we just have to make it complete. That whereas everything that you are saying is as you have said it, but we also need to add that the Minister of Justice and Attorney General, through a spokesman, has said that he has nothing whatsoever to do with it. Now, to come to the whole matter of returning to the theater of the absurd that you started off with, and the notion started off first by our caller from Ogba that nothing more is going to happen. Nothing. You won't hear anything about this. Momo has, gone in that direction too. How say you? Because these guys have evidence for what they're saying. Precedent. So
my take is that their sentiments are understood. They are not far-fetched. It fits from where we have found ourselves and the precedents and trajectory of our history. But the fact that it has not happened before does not mean it cannot happen now.
Okay.
Because if you see the grand swell of resentment, of opposition to what has happened now, and the fact that even non-state actors, independent professional bodies, Nigerians, have risen to the occasion, MBA in particular,
yes,
to lampoon what has happened, to take practical steps. I understand before coming here that one of our colleagues has even been appointed to spearhead the committee appointed to drive this process at the level of MBA. So if you say it doesn't happen in Nigeria, but the civil society component of Nigeria, the Nigerian people are saying, no, this cannot be, then we're in for another kind of situation. So why would you say nothing will happen when a magistrate, even if he had come out to say he was deceived, again, what office did he complain deceived him? That is an issue. He revoked the warrant, citing deceit by an office. That is an issue to be investigated. Now, if you were deceived, would you also have been negligent, or have you exercised indiscretion big enough to attract judicial, punishment? That is an issue.
That's another issue.
Now, no person have said that the lawyers, my colleagues, who have been mentioned, are also fake lawyers, like the policeman. What does the disciplinary committee of the Nigerian Bar Association, to start with, going to do about this? So you won't say nothing will happen.
There are all these.
So what about the raw criminal prosecution of apparent infractions of the law, ranging from forgery, perjury, if you like, criminal, impersonation? What about all of this?
And also, maybe when we come back, we also need to talk about what gave birth to all of this. Allegedly, a whistleblower was at work And so we'll look. Ibrahim in Kaduna, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to your learned guest there. In fact, it's Ibrahim calling from Kaduna.
Okay.
You see, what we are seeing so far is really moving like those that spoke before me. In fact, I don't really know what to say about this. Does it mean that Nigeria is now a child of circumstances? Is it Nigeria a child of circumstances? Why we keep on having all those matters like this? Now look at what is coming up. Kai, it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. But I really want the government to try to exonerate themselves from this very ugly incident. Because why? We cannot continue to go like this. Let us come out with a clear picture of what we are. So Nigeria is not going to be playing like a football. We are not a banana republic.
Thank you very much.
We should do what it takes so that we should try to exonerate ourselves from the international high negatively.
Yeah.
Because this is the right time for us to say this is black and it's black and this is white is white.
All right, then. Thank you very much for calling in, Ibrahim. Really appreciate your call. And I like one sentence. He will say, carrying on as if we were a banana republic. I mean, we sit here and superciliously will say that we're not a banana republic. But this happened. And I don't really see, and I've been trying, I don't see how I can persuade myself that this was entirely a private sector-led operation, being the opposite of official governmental operation. I mean, how does a private sector person or organization, whatever their issue, whatever their brief, whatever their assets, how do they pull this kind of a thing off? I've not been able to persuade myself. So, but at the same time, we note that the Inspector General of Police, the Attorney General of the Federation, the EFCC, the SSS have all separately distanced themselves from the entire operation.
So they owe us a duty
to
tell us precisely what
help us understand.
In short, this reinforced my earlier assertion that any crime that is impossible to be cracked has the input of the government. It's only when the state is involved that you don't get. So they have a duty to, like somebody said, exonerate themselves,
yes,
extricate themselves from this.
By saying that we won't even investigate it ourselves. So an independent body made up of all these people that you're talking about, MBA and all interested parties,
set up, objectively dissect, and the facts are very clear. It's easy to deal with.
You see, if you can intimidate a Supreme Court judge, any judge, if you can intimidate any judge, not to talk about a Supreme Court judge, then what democracy is it that we're running? What rule of law are we operating? What is the hope of the ordinary man? Even if the ordinary man doesn't usually have the money to get to the Supreme Court, but still, that you could attack a judge at the Supreme Court level. I'm being told that someone else is coming in.
That's when the culture of impunity had gained ground, and that's what is happening.
Who do we have? Mr. Okpara in VI, good morning, sir.
Yes, Uncle Yori, good morning.
Thank you for calling.
And good morning to Barrister Malachy.
Good morning, yes, Mr. George.
Uncle Yori, this is not a new thing in Nigeria. Every Nigerian knows there is nothing coming out of this.
Wait now.
All Nigerians know what has been going on.
It's
not the second time.
Mr. Okpara, you started off by saying this is not a new thing in Nigeria.
Don't
forget that we are being watched all over the world, not just in Nigeria.
People they have called up to investigate.
But this is what our people will call an America wonder. No, sir, I wanted to argue a bit with you with the statement that this is not a new thing in Nigeria. This is not the way we are.
Yeah, Uncle Yori,
yes, sir.
We know it's not the way we are. If it is the way we are, everybody knows. Let them be taken to court and let the court, as other people who have committed crime, now they can know all of them are being brought to court. Let them be shown live and let them speak to themselves.
Okay.
Because this is not this is just a movie. This is just a movie.
All right. Thank you very much for calling in. And it's a movie. If you say it's a movie, it's a very complicated movie because we have the spokesman of the Nigeria police getting up before Nigerians and delivering the report that he did yesterday. And everybody was going to hang on to every word. Immediately, even on this program, a bit of it, people have given the impression of what Mr. Frank Mba who I said, is a credible officer, is a, consummate professional, and yet he stood before Nigerians and narrated that story. Told us that 14 here, 6 on the run, and exonerated the police.
The army should do the same. The DSS should do the same. The Office of the Attorney General should go beyond what they have already said, given the supervening circumstances, to make further clarifications. But more importantly, the Nigerian state must, on this occasion, institute an independent panel of inquiry that will be able to unravel all of this. Because, as it were, you cannot be a party in an allegation and to pretend over the investigation. That would be against natural justice.
In fact, just looking at it from the point of view of the Minister of Justice being a lawyer, a chief law, or the officer of the nation, he probably should be the angriest person,
particularly when he has directly been indicted, alleged.
Allegedly. I was even saying, even remove the indictment.
He has been angry. At least that much has come by way of denial. That much has come by way of disclaimer.
Okay. Oh, who's on the line?
But it's not enough.
Oh, Mazi Okoroafo. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Malachy, the SON making, sir. Good morning, Your Excellency, SON.
Okoroafo.
Son. Good morning, sir. Malachy, sir. You see, we have to be very, very careful whatever we do in terms of invasion of people's houses at late hour, at the hour of the night. One, it shows that we in the country, anybody can go to people's houses, you don't know who is who. At the end of the day, this is bounce back. I'm now calling on the authorities in this country. They should play the video clip of that house for all Nigerians to see, the whole world to see, wherever they should bring it to this studio, so that people will see. Because I'm saying this because the way we are handling issues, either private or public, is not heard. If you have any grudges against anybody, we have the constitutional court for you to go and not a question of bringing people at the end of the day. We say, now, I want to ask SAN in making Malachy, how do we identify fake DSS, fake police, fake soldiers in a country like ours? As a legal leader, the whole world knows you very well, authoritatively in terms of legal. How do we? And secondly, in a country like ours, we have been doing all these things day in, day out, every day. Nothing happened. They say inquiry, they inquire, investigate everything. They just carry the spot, put it under the carpet. Is that how we are going to operate? Are we going back to the military era of Decree 4? Or are we going back to the abracadabra of a better system? Or are we moving towards democracy?
Okay, Mazi, I've got to interrupt you now. Let's give Malachy a chance to, relate to some of the points you made. Thank you very much.
From Arochukwu, by elevating me to is it SON or SAN, I think I hope you're not also approximating my potentials and capabilities to that of a security operative to be able to identify fake policemen. But this is the point. This is the point, and I thank you for your deep concern. The point is that all of what is playing out now also throws up another difficult situation that Nigeria has found itself. And that is the hijack of the Nigerian state by non-state actors. I say this because a situation where you can find a fake policeman, that is assuming that Frank Mba and his team have done all that needs to be done in confirming that this man is not a policeman.
That Lawrence Ajodo.
I also heard him say that he's not a policeman.
Yes.
So how come a fake police CSP was able to lead a gang of persons comprising lawyers, comprising operatives from other sister security organizations, comprising marabouts?
Well,
yes.
Marabout was involved.
Yes, spiritualists, all of those who had the capacity to pick the sands around the house and prayed to identify that they were money, confirming what had been given in deposition, in affidavit to a magistrate, that we reasonably suspect that money, but you needed further clarification from a marabout.
Yes.
So supposing we have all of these as the picture of what is before us, you will find that non-state actors, fake ones at that, are now in charge of sensitive operations, leveraging on constituted institutions of government.
So how did we get there is another question. Joseph in Ogun State. Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. Sir, it shouldn't be surprising that Nigerians won't believe, because the last case of Wadumi has not been resolved. The minister took over the investigation, saying that absolving the army, or rather saying that removing the army from the issue right now, and the police has been waiting for the minister to get involved and let the investigation take its course.
Okay, thank you very much for calling. But one thing, everybody has been involved in this. Every official channel, right up to the presidency, in my humble opinion, because, I mean, it's about, we're talking about the Supreme Court here. A judge of the Supreme Court was attacked
even if
openly,
he's a taxi driver,
openly,
a peasant,
and
an ordinary market man or
so
woman.
Everybody has to really clear themselves, and the best way I would guess would be what viewers said, and what you have also said. Bring an independent investigative panel to get to the bottom of all of this. And then the culture of impunity that so many are fearful is enthroned in our society. Just take the crown off his head, Mr. Impunity, or if it's, I don't know if it's Madam Impunity. Just take the crown off their head in this instance.
Particular matter.
This has gone too far. I'm hearing that someone else is on the line. Good morning. Abuja?
Yes.
Mayor Solomon. Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning, sir.
Please go ahead, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Quickly go ahead, please. We're almost out of time.
Yeah. Good morning, sir.
Thank you. Good morning.
No, if we really want to look at this in holistic approach, we should set up an independent committee.
All right. That's exactly what we're saying. Exactly the point at which you caught us. We agree with you. We agree with you that is the most
and that is
logical.
a response. It is a response to the despondency that the Nigerian people suffer.
Yes.
And they are speaking to the culture of impunity that has not just gained ground but consolidated. And they make these points not in the air but arising from so many cases of unresolved national maladies. Somebody mentioned Wadume. So many of such cases.
And
but we are saying that given what this has turned out to be, the fact that it has not happened in the past does not mean there's not going to be a provenance. That is a beginning, a source by which we find a different curve and turn in the way we deal with our situation.
And as you said very much earlier on, you said you wanted to cut the police some slack in this. Perhaps one can understand it, because at least Mr. Frank Kumba, he came out and is showing that he's removing the police. Therefore, it shouldn't be, it's a short step, I think, from them spearheading an independent investigation into all of this. Is it a mystery? It is a drama?
It's an absurdity.
Okay, let's close with your word. So that's our program then. It's a real, as we say locally, America wonder. People had never thought that we would see this day, although some people called in, maybe they're skeptics, and I said, what are you talking about? Nothing new. Of course, I fought a bit with that respected and well-valued caller who said that nothing new. No, it is new. But let's leave it there, and we'll just wait and see how all of this turns out. That's our program today. I want to thank you, Mr. Malachy Ugwummadu, for coming on the program as always and helping us throwing light on the way we should be viewing this. And of course, thanks to you out there as well for calling in and contributing to the program. We don't do Saturday, so the next day is Monday. See you on Monday by the grace of God. Do have a great weekend. I am Iyori Folari. Bye-bye for now.